Welcome to Elektro. It's Resistance Festival, and I'm here with Therion Major, who is Dark Machine Nation. So, thank you ever so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure.
So, for those who've not heard your music yet, how would you describe yourself?
Well, by genre, I work with industrial hardcore and power noise. Both of those genres, they come from different scenes, with industrial hardcore coming from the gabber and hardcore and hard dance scene, with power noise coming from the industrial and EBM scene. It's a harsh form of those styles. From one track to another, it may be more one, more the other, or maybe a blend of the two. But in general, right now my music is 100% sample based, meaning if you hear something that sounds like explosions, it is. And I use that for bass drums, just different, very impactful, very real world sounds for my production. So to describe my music, it's the power of noise, I guess you could say. Hell, I don't know. Just press play.
Fair enough. And this is your first show outside of the US, so
yeah.
Basically, when you get on that stage, people are going to be hit by an assault of noise. Basically.
An assault, yeah. That's a good statement. I sample a lot of live fire and warfare sounds. Some sounds I grab from the web, and some I've recorded myself, like at a shooting range, those sorts of things.
Sounds pretty fucking cool, actually.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. So obviously this is your second day at Resistance. I mean, I don't know, did you turn up Thursday or Friday?
I came in Friday, yeah.
So far, what's been your favourite things about the festival?
Oh boy. I'm going to get to the music a little bit later, but I want to start talking about the people first. This venue has drawn what looks to me like the best of this particular scene. Everybody is looking to have a good time, not looking to make trouble. They are open-minded. People will walk up and talk to you. You know, if you're really out there, if you're willing to like open yourself up to people, you won't have any problems making friends here. And I've made several, I think. So I've had great conversations here. As for the music, my God, the sound system in the main room and in the secondary room, the Trafalgar House, that room where they had the rave kind of thing last night. Amazing sound, both areas. Good bass, but not too much bass. You know, so you can still hear everything with good clarity. The artists have been top notch. It's been a really good mix of what you'd expect with the goth and industrial scene. So you've heard your EBM, you've heard your industrial bands, you've heard your electro industrial, agro tech, or whatever. But there's also been a fair amount of artists with a heavy EDM influence. So I've heard drum and bass last night and tonight. With Mechanical Vein, absolutely melting faces out there.
Yeah.
And there's been some gabber influences, some hard dance, hard style influences as well. So it's just been amazing hearing the different flavors that people show up with. And I'm looking forward to giving people something different. With my style being kind of raw, you know, it's not for everybody, but if you're into it, it's gonna hit.
Nice.
It's gonna hit. I know people are gonna love it. I'm gonna have a great time.
Okay. And what has been your happiest moment making music?
Happiest moment making music? Wow. Hold on. Let me think.
Just in your career as sort of Dark Machine Nation.
So like, if you're talking about the production process, it can get deep. Because it's just me who's ever doing it, you know. I've moved from a 1-bedroom apartment to a 3-bedroom house, thanks to the help of my friends and family. It was not something I did all on my own, financially or physically. But I have now a room dedicated to music production. That's why I'm telling you that. But I have my own space that's dedicated to music. So Probably it is when I write the lyrics and I don't have a track for them yet. I produce something and then I think, this would go well for it. Put them in, record it, hear the sound of my voice with the effects, listening to the track. Most recently, the best experience has been the track that made it onto the Resistance Festival 2023 artist mix. So if you buy that CD while you're here, my newest track, which is unreleased, will be on that CD, and that track is simply called F, as in F in the chat.
Oh, nice.
Now that's a very personal set of lyrics for me, because it starts off describing like the worst of my mental state. First line says, "Everything I touch is turned to shit. Everything I put my heart into is in the pits." And that verse kind of goes on with that sort of a tone. But it brings in the chorus, and it says, "No excuses, no fucking weakness. Get up and fight this. Level up and break this." Now, that's not what everybody needs to hear at the worst of their mental health. That's what I needed to tell myself, though. Because I have gone to many therapists, which I think everybody should do. And I've reached out to friends for help. And I've read books about mental health, and I've looked at websites on how to do this, and then followed different people on social media who talk about mental health stuff. But at the end of the day, I get in there and I work with my music, and it's me versus me, and that comes through in all of the sounds of warfare that I use in my music project. Producing that track, I started it when I was in the midst of a very recent healing process. I started it during the worst part of that. I finished it at the best. And that all led me up to coming to this festival here. The last few months have been very momentous for me. A lot of changes in my mentality, a lot of changes in my habits. At the top of this year, I stopped drinking because I realized that wasn't good for my mentality either. Now, I'm not preaching at anybody. If you like a drink, have your drink. But just, I'm not going to share, that's all. But that has got to be one of the most meaningful tracks that I've ever produced because it landed right at the point of healing and victory that I needed to bring me here. Yeah. And the second verse of that track says, "Leaving myself no choice but to gain, casting a spell to armor my brain. Rise up within, I'll fight you again. Rise up within, I'll fight you again."
That's pretty strong.
I hope somebody listens to that and it maybe rattles your cage a little bit. So if you're stuck in a pattern, I've got to do something about this. That's what that track is about. It's like, wake up right now. Wake up. Take charge of your life. And if there's something you got to do, get it done. You're worth it. Don't sit still and let your situation consume you. That's a lot more than you asked for. But if I had a sermon to preach, that would be it.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And have you had a moment with a fan that's been particularly, say, touching over the years?
I'm so glad you said that because there's a lot of people that I met through the web before coming to this festival. So coming here and meeting all those people in person has been really great. But I gotta say, quite simply, just talking to people while I was here last night, there's this guy, I introduced myself and I said, "Yeah, I'm from Dark Machine Nation." And he said, "Oh my God, I can't wait to see your set." He got loud immediately. The kind of excitement that I get when I get really excited about something. And to make somebody light up like that is just very, very special. I'm not saying I need that all the time, and I'm not, it's just a good feeling though to know that you've affected someone even from afar. They heard about me before I got here. They're looking forward to hearing me, and they appreciate that I'm here as a person and as an artist, an act, a musician, whatever. Yeah, so that means a lot to me, and the trip has been more than worth it,
before you've even played.
Before I've even played, that's the thing. The people here have been amazing. I can't say that enough.
Right, wonderful. Mm-hmm. And coming away from music for just a minute, so where the world's been really crazy the last few years, so COVID, all sorts of fucking stupid shit we've seen on the TV.
Yes.
What are some of your predictions that will happen in the world before the end of this year, be they serious or silly?
Serious or silly? Well, let's start with the serious. Some things that'll happen in the world. So I'm from America. I'm from the Midwest. So I expect a whole lot more political noise. I expect a lot of climate-related disasters that will garner no change from the corporations who are causing the climate to change. There's gonna be more shootings. It's abysmal. Opinions range very widely on that topic where I'm from. As you probably already know, people fight very hard to keep guns in their hands, which I think is okay. However,
not just anyone.
They are, yes, not just anyone, but people are opposing even the act of making it more difficult to buy a gun. I think it should be difficult to buy a gun. It's difficult to get a driver's license.
Exactly.
For the same reason. Okay. Now, it shouldn't be that complicated, but every time something, a new bill or law tries to get passed about it, it gets hotly opposed and it just gets dropped. I think the last major thing that was passed concerning guns was automatic weapons were banned, which should have been obvious. Banned in the, like a civilian can't own one, not without a huge amount of legal problems. But so okay, that's nice. But that was when I was a child that was passed. Ever since then, very little significant action has been taken on that. The thing is, if you are seeing a situation in your life or in your world and you simply do nothing about it, you can very well expect it to persist.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's my prediction. That's the hot topic right now. There's going to be more fighting between this very motivated far right movement that's happening. Well, unfortunately, it's happening in a lot of different places, the UK and the US, and the propaganda they're pushing about LGBT people, especially trans people, they are under the target right now. And I have several friends who are transgender and dozens more on top of that who are LGBT, and so that's close to my heart. I don't feel that that's my story to tell, so I haven't talked about it that much. I don't want to add to the noise. On most platforms on social media, you'll see me repost the ideas, opinions, and updates from trans people who have words to say about that. People who know. I'm not just, I could just say trans rights or human rights. I mean, yeah, okay, fine. Who isn't saying, well,
I mean, it's a strong point here, too, because we have the same, and a lot of our Gothic community are trans or gender fluid, and if people actually took the time to meet them, they'll find out that they are the nicest, loveliest people on the planet. So it's just bizarre, isn't it? Yeah. It's bizarre.
I mean, they keep making the issue about children. I mean, the trans people that I've encountered, no one has been more vocal about issues affecting children than the trans people that I know. My God. I mean, when it comes to matters of social justice, I haven't found anybody louder, because when the trauma happens, usually it's in most people's childhood. And so when they speak on it, that's where they're speaking from. I just don't understand why they wouldn't listen. Why the people who are fighting them, accusing them of such terrible things, which are unfounded, statistically unfounded. If you're looking for targets of somebody to blame for the terrible things, it falls mostly on men in the world. Okay. But they're not, that's not where they won't They won't hear that. They won't hear that. So it's frustrating. I have taken several productions and a few albums to talk about issues affecting my mentality, but I know my next album, I definitely want to charge more towards talking about things going on in the world. I have ideas for that. They're kind of floating around in my head. When it gets more solid, I'll talk about it a little bit more, but that's kind of where I'm thinking right now.
Fair enough.
Ukraine's going to win the war, hopefully sooner rather than later. Let's stay safe out there, guys.
Sure.
But there's countless more conflicts that don't get the attention they need. I think it's worth giving everything importance. I think all people matter. I wish it wasn't so dependent upon what the media thought was important. But I don't think that I have the range of the knowledge to talk about that the way that it needs to be talked about. So I think that's all I'll say on that point.
Yeah,
on a silly note, predictions for the year. I don't know.
Could be anything, couldn't it? Really?
I'll start working on another album. Hopefully I get more shows out of the country. I would love that because I love to travel. I'm going to find myself a spouse by the end of the year. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Fair enough. And I mean,
yeah.
you've pretty much answered this already, probably. But if you were president for a day, a week, or long enough to make a difference, what would be the first thing you do?
If I were president, to be fair, I don't think that I know enough to give that job what it needs. But if I'm only in there for a week, I can just go ahead and fuck shit up. I'd write off everybody's student loans, invest in public transportation, pull corporate money out of politics. Oh my God, there's so much other stuff. I'm sure somebody's going to watch this dude's going to yell at the screen and come up with 10 more ideas that I'm not thinking of right now. But listen, I never claimed to be smart, so maybe I shouldn't be president. I don't know. I just think we need people who are willing to take action the right way.
Yeah.
I think we have a president who's nice right now, which is great, I guess. Whereas before we had a president who was just triggering in every way, shape, or form, and enabled a lot of people who really are doing and saying the horrible things. Now they have a platform. Now they always did, but now it's like they've been validated by a high-ranking government official, and I think it's going to take decades to undo that sort of propaganda damage that's been done. It's all over the web. It's all over social media. Again,
whole thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I don't think I have the knowledge to speak to that the way that it needs to be spoken to. No. But there's a lot of work to be done. But ultimately, I don't think that it's going to fall on the leaders. I think it's going to fall on the people. Segregation in America fell during the childhood of my mother. It's a very real thing. And it fell with just over a 50% vote. It almost didn't happen. It happened because people hit the streets and made noise and got arrested, and they didn't stop until what they wanted to happen happened. Like the bus boycotts of the civil rights era in the 60s, and they stayed on it. It took over a year for things to happen. And the things we saw happen in 2020 were amazing, but if even after all of that, the propaganda is still out there that basically glorifies and justifies the actions of police officers, no matter what they do, then there's still work to be done, and it's going to have to be something significant and uncomfortable. Because at the end of the day, the people in power, they don't change anything until it becomes more inconvenient for them to leave things the way that they are. You have to massively inconvenience their finances before they change anything. They integrated the buses because it was hurting their pockets. As shallow as it is, that was the reason. And unless you're willing to absolutely grind away in protest until something changes, to the point of your own discomfort and the discomfort of those with extreme amounts of power in the world, then things won't change. And I can't lie. I'm comfortable in my life, and I would like for things to stay comfortable. So it's going to take a lot more than any of us are ready to do right now, I think. Yeah. It's going to take, and I don't know what's going to light the fire, but it needs to get lit. And that's all I know. That's all I know right now. Again, there's probably somebody way smarter than me who could say more about that than what needs to be said. But that's what I know. That's what I feel right now, and I think that's what I'm going to try to address with my upcoming productions. I'm going to look back at the world and speak out on some things. Maybe bring in some other folks to speak to the issues that I can't. You know.
So tell us a bit more about that. So what's going on with you in terms of the music you're making, what's coming out, what's going on with the band at the moment?
So my project right now, I completed production on an album called Champion. Okay, and Champion was kind of like the pinnacle of my mental health journey. If I can, I'll try to get my most recent production, F, onto that album. I've already released the album to the label, but I'm kind of going through the process with the label of getting the album art together and things like that. I've been busy, the label's been busy, so we haven't driven that like I'd like to. I think when I get back home, that's probably what I'm going to start grinding at again. On top of that, I'm also almost complete with the production of an EP, which is really just a passion project. And that one is called Beyond Event Horizon. And that one is just about the science of traveling through outer space. And I use a lot of samples from Neil deGrasse Tyson, talking about interstellar travel. On that one, I have another one, a track called Spaghettification, which is the term used for what happens to materials that fall into a black hole. I've got one called, so there's interstellar transit, there's gravity assist maneuver. So it's very scientific. So that's just like my nerdy interest coming through in my music there. So there's that one. The album concept that I just told you about, the one where I want to talk about the issues in the world, I haven't started on that one yet, but a couple ideas that I have is using for my lyrics the writings of some prominent black writers. American black, Paul Laurence Dunbar did a poem called "We Wear the Mask." The first line: "We wear the mask that grins and lies." Look that up on your own. That particular writing is, I think it's about people walking around, just putting on an image of strength, of happiness, of whatever it is, a mask that you wear to present yourself to the world, to hide what you're actually feeling. Yeah. So that one's heavy. Another one that I'd like to make into a track is called Strange Fruit. And that was written during the Civil Rights era, and that has to do with lynchings. Which is, though less common, it still happens. Just not in the form that it did. It happens when a police officer can gun someone down with or without reason and face little to no charges for it. in the case of the protesting that happened in 2020, that did actually lead to some charges for at least one of the police officers, and I think he's now serving his sentence. That's great. More of that, if we could, at least hold them accountable. At least that could happen. But there's so many other things I could address with an album that would be politically focused, and that's why I'd like to bring in other people to do lyrics and to do vocals, because I don't know everything that needs to be said. I'd like to have someone to come in and speak to transgender issues or gender fluid or queer type of issues. That's close to my heart. Those are my friends. Those are most of my friends. More than, yeah. Yeah, all but just a few friends of mine, somewhere in the LGBT spectrum.
Same.
And I'm proud of that. They're some of the greatest people I've ever met. So yeah, that's where I'm headed right now. That's what I've got in the works. It's a slow process for me. I never rush my productions. I like to sit with them a bit. It's all very close to my heart.
Okay.
So that's where I'm at right now.
Nice. And when it comes to our scene as a whole, what do you think are some of the best things about it, and what are some things you'd like to see improve?
So I'll try to keep it a little short. So if you're referring to the goth and industrial scene, where I'm from, we have a pretty dedicated scene. And whereas in the past, some of my complaints would have been playing a lot of the same songs very commonly, and the issue of like people being outside and smoking while the DJ is playing absolute bangers, you know, like, because I'm the type, if there's music playing, like, I'm on the floor, so it doesn't make sense for people like standing on the wall or being outside and smoking and talking to their friends. I mean, I don't smoke, but I love to talk. But even still, if there's music on, I want to hear it. But the way the scene is right now, and that I'm referring to my hometown, Dayton, Ohio, and to the adjacent Columbus, Ohio, a little further away, and Cincinnati, Ohio, about an hour away from where I live as well. Those scenes together for the goth and industrial scene, actually very strong in my opinion. There's something going on every week. They're putting something on every weekend. Sometimes more than one thing, so you got to pick and choose. Yeah. And if you feel like driving, you've got options. It's there. Given that part of my influences are from the hard dance sound and scene, I mean, I'm not entirely certain how to speak to that, because where I'm from, there's not much of a hard dance scene. You'll hear a few artists pop up here and there who do that sound, but I wish I could speak to that, but I can't right now. That's just where I'm at in America. It's not very strong there. Maybe if I headed to Detroit, I could find some of that. But, yeah. So that's what I would say that's good about it, is the scene's real dedicated and there's always something going on. I mean, as far as the negatives, I don't know. Some of my complaints would have been like, I wish that up and coming artists and more recent releases would get more common play on local dance nights, local, the goth and industrial nights they have. Now, in some places that does happen, especially in Columbus, where you'll have a DJ get up and he'll play like all new stuff for certain parts of the night. So, not too much a complaint, but I would just like to see more of that. I know that there's a lot of things being released on Bandcamp, a lot of up-and-coming artists there. I think on the internet, and that's what, as much as possible, I like to talk about the positives. The community for the goth and industrial scene online and on social media, very strong, thriving, very focused on promoting and supporting up-and-coming artists. I wouldn't be here without that.
Yeah.
this festival, they found me because of that network. So I think they're doing a lot that's very right now. I don't have a lot of complaints, really. I just keep it up, y'all.
And on that subject, what you've just touched on there, where the festivals found you, so Resistance and Infest in UK is kind of like the gold standard for how it should be done.
Fantastic.
Essentially with, putting on minorities, LGBT, and reaching out to newer bands. So what would you say to other promoters out there, just things you would like to say to them to make things life easier and better for the scene?
So I don't know much about promotion. So, take my words with a grain of salt. Just continue to dig and search around for up and coming new artists, new sounds, unique sounds. Take a risk every now and then. I would say personally, I would like to see more like a little bit of genre bending stuff. Like this festival has a lot of artists booked with a very strong EDM sound. I would like to hear, and I think the traditionalist would hate me for this, and you can go ahead and do that. Put it in the comment section. I won't read it. I won't. I don't care. Because a lot of goth music, and definitely the vast majority of industrial music, is electronic or electronic influenced. So I would like to hear a lot more EDM influences there. I would like to hear thrown in like avant-garde or like noise influenced artists. I wouldn't mind hearing like a metal band, a goth band, an industrial band, and then a DJ on the same night. Like I've played shows. I just played a show like that back home, where one artist got up and played ambient, and then there was like a punk band that used a synthesizer in there, like really gritty sounding synthesizer mixed with like punk rock drum, like thrashy type drumming. And then I got up and played. Don't be afraid to bend the genres. Don't be afraid to book artists together who only kind of work together, but like let your scene develop from those kind of sounds coming together. Expand beyond just the goth and industrial world. I think that's how you bring in new people into the sound. That's how a scene stays strong. Because if you are stuck on making one sound and doing it one way on and on and on and on, even if the purists say this is how it should be done, this is how a goth night's supposed to go, people will lose interest. There was a long time in my town where the goth night just got thinner and thinner, and people just kept going other places for their fix of new music, or they just stayed home because they know what they're gonna get.
Yeah, there's no excitement.
Why should they care? Like there's no excitement to it. And anytime you bring in something new, I think you're going to enliven that excitement, and then there's always going to be people who are like, "Oh, this isn't how it's supposed to be," and it's not, But go ahead and offend people, because that's the price of moving forward, though. And again, people are going to be mad that I said that, but go ahead, be mad. It's just, I love going out and hearing something new, surprising, and unexpected. There's always things you expect, and it's fine if your expectations are met. I love it when my expectations are blown out of the water, though, and I hear something completely new and fresh. So that inspires me, and I produce things based on that. It's like, what haven't I tried yet? I don't know. Let's go crazy.
Right. And very lastly, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
To my fans specifically, am I big enough for fans? Do I just for the friends and folks who follow me on social media, thanks for your support. Thanks for walking up to me and talking to me. And if you see me around the Resistance Festival, and if you see me playing anywhere else, come and talk to me. Even if you see me, especially if you see me in a dark corner by myself, I'm probably zoning out. Don't let me zone out. come and talk to me. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Therion, and thank you for watching.
Take care.